Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast, Greater Life, Greater Impact. My name is Janet. I am a quantum healer. I'm a soul self restoration coach, and I help take people to I'm going to say, the uncharted waters of who they really are for healing and transformation and restoration. And today I'm here with my new friend, Jody Curtis. I'm really excited to be with you today, Jody. I'm actually really eager to jump on hearing your story. You have an interesting past, and you do some very interesting things that I personally am excited about and interested in learning. So I do want to do a little bit of an introduction. So Jody Curtis is a reverend, a teacher, a speaker, a spiritual teacher, really in the area of mental physics. I want to know more about what that is, because I know what metaphysics is, but mental physics is a whole different thing. Breath work, meditation for wellness and health. You are also going to be speaking at the Global Healers Summit coming up, and I'm excited about that. Do you have a day yet set?
Yes, I'm going to be speaking on Wednesday, the 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, awesome. We're going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end, so stay tuned if you want to know more about that. Something that Jody and I are very passionate about. Donating our resources and consecrating our time and talents and energy to help somebody else in the world. And so we're excited about that. But I really want to start off, I want to kick off this interview or this discussion. We're just having a conversation. Would you be willing to just share with us your journey, your story? How did you get, like we could probably talk for days about you overcoming stage 4 cancer. But I just want to know little bits and pieces about how did you get to where you are right now in this specific arena where you coach and teach and mentor with people.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me today. It's very exciting. My father passed away in 2008 from not being able to breathe, and then I had just gone through chemo for everything and started teaching myself a whole bunch of healing modalities. And then I felt guided out to the Mojave Desert, where I currently live, to the Institute of Mental Physics. I used to drive by it to go out in the desert to go camping. I was working and living in Los Angeles in the entertainment business, and it was like a totally different life. Yeah. So as soon as I had my diagnosis, my intuition said, you just got to get back to nature. So I took off for the desert just to kind of clear my mind. And every time I would go by, I would see the Institute of Mental Physics and think, what is that? Like, it was a burning desire to figure out what that was. Yeah. And so I would go back to LA and like type it in Google, and nothing would come up. And then eventually I was just after my dad passed, I was just guided to move out to the desert and work at this place. I even though I really didn't know what it was, I couldn't find really anything about it. So I thought, well, they need a website, and I had just started doing that, and I could help them in this way. So I just showed up and I said, hi, my name's Jody. I'm supposed to work here. And then about 6 months after, went in there again, and they hired me, and I built a website for both the Joshua Tree Retreat Center aspect of it, which is rentals for spiritual speakers, and then the mental physics stuff, which was what I was really interested in. I started uncovering the work that was, in the attic, all these ancient teachings from the Himalayas, from thousands of years old. And the director at the time, Victoria, and I found a couple, Frank and Evelyn Haggard, who became my spiritual teachers, and we formed a small group that began studying and studied for about 8 years, started teaching a couple years in, and then became an ordained minister in 2014. I just found it very fascinating. And the interesting thing too is, my body from really kicked off a whole healing process for me of learning all kinds of different things. But when I found mental physics, it kind of brought everything I had ever learned together. It was, a teaching that helped me to just bring it all together. And the doctors at the time said I would not be able to have children and anything like that. through the breath work, which actually works on the endocrine system in the body, all the hormones and everything,
Yes,
I
yes.
was able to have a child naturally at 41 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was such a surprise. Yeah, I actually thought I was sick again because I had never been pregnant. I didn't know what it felt like. I thought just something's off, you know. So I have this beautiful daughter who's going to be 9 years old, and just, you know, I just really fell in love with the work and I just have this burning desire to uncover more and more of it and share it. That's kind of been my passion,
Yeah.
is just, you know, and along with that, I really enjoy, as time goes on, just creating content in the world that is uplifting and inspiring and empowering for
Well,
people.
and yeah, and that gives people tools. I get the sense, like when I work with people too, even in my own practice, I get the sense that people in general are are really tired of the same old run around in what we've been used to with our healthcare model, our healthcare system that has
Mhm.
been built into this giant empire now. It's not really serving people. It's not bringing them to a place of wholeness. It's not um it's not bringing healing into their lives. It's just managing sickness. And I think people are becoming more and more disenfranchised with that by the day. And so, yeah, it's one of the big reasons why it's the most Googled and searched for thing on the internet is healing tips and techniques and how to overcome this or that symptom holistically, naturally, and find other ways. Like there's so many different ways in through the back door to find healing. That's why I love doing these interviews, is because there's just, I think I do believe that every human being has their own unique, specific modality within them. And it's comprised of lots of different tools, the ones that resonate with you the most and the way that you use your gifts to help other people.
Absolutely. And when I was going through chemo, I came up with this idea to start a project called the Trinity Project, which is kind of like body, mind, and spirit, which was a resource for all available modalities of healing that anyone has ever gone through, so that they could tune into themselves, because I believe every body is different. And
Hmm.
it's also almost like a spiritual rite of passage sometimes to go through a healing crisis.
Yes.
You know, and I remember before my diagnosis hearing people say, oh, it was such a gift and everything. And I thought, how could they say that? But in retrospect, absolutely, it was a gift. And I know a lot of people who become healers become so out of the traumas and tragedies of their own life, you
Yeah,
know,
and we typically end up working with people who have experienced our same suffering.
exactly.
Yeah.
I remember saying to my spiritual teacher at the time, going through some different challenges, and thinking, why do I have to go through this? And she said, well, you're going to be able to help people on the other side of this,
Right.
that are going through the same thing. And it's so
Agreed.
true.
Yeah, and when you can bring meaning and purpose to something that you've experienced that was so difficult and painful, then oh my gosh, like then you develop passion for what it is that you do, because of the experience is so exquisite. I personally, my stories, I went through 25 years of Lyme's disease and autoimmune illnesses that I had to over battle and overcome. And I remember being in the midst of that, feeling like, is this ever going to end, or should I just end it? Because this is no life. I'm not really living. And but yet it was the catalyst that cracked me open on a spiritual level. And there's a big difference between religion and spirituality. Do you want to voice that, or do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Well, in my opinion, I think a lot of organized religion talks about God as like something outside of oneself, right? And so what I've come to understand, and what I teach in mental physics, is whatever the creator is, we are that in human form. Differentiated from all the other life forms in the universe that are also expressions of God, right? Or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever you call
yeah,
it. So you're expressing God as you, I'm expressing God as me, all are connected and part of the divine wholeness of the all
yeah.
that is. So that's just kind of how I've come to understand it. Um, Sometimes, in the beginning, I would get a little bit nervous about how people might take that, because of the way that religion is, religion is taught, but in my practice of mental physics and using the creative abilities, like co-creating with spirit in my own life, I've just proven it to myself over and over and over that it's actually the truth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And spirituality is a much different thing than coming from the aspect of like religious, what's the word I'm looking for? Curriculum. Having spiritual experiences is not the same thing as having a religious experience necessarily. So,
Right. And I actually just Ding LeMay, who's the Englishman that brought mental physics over from Tibet, he
mhm.
talks about having a mystical experience, which I just came to understand is actually just something that you cannot put words to. It's an experience of God that you have that's so extraordinary that you can't find the words for it.
Right.
So I've had a few of those myself that that just
Yeah.
stay within me, that have transformed my life during the process of my own healing and things like that. So.
Yeah. Are there any gaps in your story? Did we miss anything that you wanted to share that kind of just brings you to this place that you're at now?
Well, let's see, gaps in the story.
And we could probably talk for days about your story, but I just wanted to make sure that you were able to share how you got to this place. And I have questions too about what is mental physics. What does that mean to you?
Well, mental physics is it's a multi-denominational philosophy of thought. It is the science of feeling. Okay,
Mm,
so it is a systematic approach to, I guess, awakening within yourself, and it is designed to bring together the breath work, meditation, some sound healing, affirmations, spiritual understanding that
yeah.
helps to clean out anything that's within you that is not serving you, that's like stuck in your cells in your body. It helps to go into the body. I used to say when I taught early on, I felt like I was an intellectual spiritual person. I read all the books, I knew all the lingo, all this stuff. But it wasn't really until I found mental physics and I started going inside my body,
Right.
where the trauma is stored, to release that I really started awakening spiritually. See what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Oh, I totally know what you mean. And quantum healing, like the stuff that I do is really similar to that. I mean, you're basically saying the same thing. Everybody's got to do their own inner work. You got
yeah,
to resolve the data that's sitting on your hard drive that has not been resolved.
exactly.
Mhm.
It's our life's work.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
the greatest work that you'll ever do is the inner work.
It is. And then, it's amazing as you clear out and release that, then you have more room for light to shine. You have more room to co-create with source,
Right.
and then your life becomes more magnificent by the second because,
Yeah, it really does. It really
yeah.
does. You get more clarity. You come from a more authentic place. You are more connected to deity. There's just so many great benefits to doing the inner work and cleaning the inner vessel and removing the nonsense from your hard drive, right? Like
I love
the
that. Yeah.
corrupted files that are all sitting. And I feel like, I call it gunk. That's my technical term for it. Every one of us is storing corrupted information inside of us from the pains of the past or from whatever's not been resolved within us, and that stuff will act as a filter over your true light that wants to shine through you. It can't shine through because it's being filtered by garbage.
Mhm. And the light in mental physics, we talk about the light shines of itself. So
Yes.
like, just as you're saying, is our job is to get rid of anything that is blocking that light.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I feel a kindred connection to you already. So
I do as well,
we,
Jan.
we could talk for days about this, I'm sure, but I do want to ask you, what does it look like? So, do you mentor with people? Are you an advocate for their healing? What do you actually do with people?
Well, I have for the last, 11 years, taught breathwork classes. So I teach the 8 key breaths of mental physics. There's the first course, which is the initiate group course, which I actually have on Udemy online that people can go and take. Was designed as a home study course. That's 26 weeks long. Then there's a second chunk called the inner chamber, which is 123 lessons. So 123 lessons.
I'm
Then
interested.
then there's the preceptor teacher training course at the end of that. So there's this whole curriculum that came from Deng Lamay that he created. And then when the pandemic hit, I started teaching online. So I do these weekly online breathwork classes. I just finished yesterday, the last one scheduled for this year. And I'm revamping to figure out what I'm going to do in the new year. But people will hire me to come to their groups and, give like a breathwork class. I'm happy to do one-on-one Zoom sessions these days. There's a lot of different components involved. So if I had just a one-on-one client, I would, talk to them about what they're wanting and then help them formulate that through the teachings.
Wow, I love that. So when we get done here, because I want you to take us through an exercise, if you can, if you'd like to, if you could do that. I want us to be able to experience it a little bit, but for me personally, I want to know where I can find out more about these classes. So don't let me forget to ask you about that. So yeah, moving right on, would you be willing to take us through just a little sampling or an experience where we can experience some of the breath work that helps to crack our spirituality open?
Sure. What I'm thinking of right now is, I can give you a few pointers on the breath work. In the Global Healer Summit, I'm going to be teaching an introduction to mental physics along with some of the breaths. And I'm also going to be teaching a secret breath called the creative manifestation breath, the creative breath. And this breath, it took me about 5 minutes of doing it to win the Ellen DeGeneres Mother's Day show with a $10,000 worth of stuff when I was pregnant. So you can create anything with this breath, but I'm going to show that there. Today, what I'd like to do is just give you a few pointers of things that we do. So all the mental physics breathings are breathing deep down into the belly. It's like a systematic kind of a yoga system of right thinking, breathing, meditation that helps you to awaken your creative powers and heal the root cause of any illness or dis-ease in the body. Right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I am an advocate for the breath. In fact, we use a lot of breath work in my course as well. I know that it's powerful and that
Very
it really
powerful.
it moves things through you. It moves energy through you. So
Absolutely. Breath and sound, I found, are tremendous movers of energy. And I remember when I first moved to the desert, I could barely even eke out an ohm, like nothing would even come out. And now I do, chanting and teach people how to do that and it seems a little uncomfortable if you've never done it, maybe in the beginning, but wow, does it move energy and
yes.
heal the body.
Yeah, I've
One
experienced
thing
it.
that I'm feeling called to do today is just a couple things, because it's a science of feeling. One of the things we say in mental physics is, I give thanks for my body, the transcendently beautiful and the infinitely intricate and the most gloriously accurate instrument in this universe. My body, the temple of the living God. So we recognize in mental physics that the body is a spiritual instrument, and that there's only one law, the law of life. All negation is of the mind. So we do affirmations in an effort to reprogram and override the negative thoughts and stuff.
Right.
So I'm just going to take you through a little demonstration of some of the affirmations that we do. So when I'm saying these statements, these I am statements, knowing that we build into our consciousness these things that we declare, just get into the feeling of them. And you can say them out loud, or you can just think them to yourself in your mind. But just get into the feeling of each of these words. I am eternal life.
I am eternal life.
I am eternal love.
I am eternal love.
I am truth.
I am truth. Whew.
I am peace, and peace dwells in me.
I am peace, and peace dwells in me.
I am power.
I am power.
I am wisdom.
I am wisdom.
I am justice.
I am justice.
I am that I am.
I am that I am.
I give thanks for all that ever was.
I give thanks for all that ever was.
I give thanks for all that is.
I give thanks for all that is.
I give thanks for all that ever will be.
I give thanks for all that ever will be.
I question not the divine love,
I question not the divine love,
the divine wisdom,
the divine wisdom,
and the divine justice.
and the divine justice.
May all beings be peaceful.
May all beings be peaceful.
May all beings be blissful.
May all beings be blissful.
And may all beings be happy.
And may all beings be happy.
Now take
Wow.
a big deep breath
Wow.
in and let it out with a sigh.
Oh my gosh, I am on fire right now. On fire. Like just even starting when I said the word I am light, I could feel a dramatic shift in my entire being. I could feel things opening up and flowing, and that was
We
powerful.
are light. We are light.
Yes, we are light. Yeah, this is very similar to what I do with quantum healing when I'm working with people one-on-one. Oftentimes I'll take them through the affirmations and I'll help them tap in, go inside the body, go within and connect to their higher selves, and then just say the words, I am, and just sit there in it. Just feel the feeling of the essence of you, your beingness. What does it feel like to be you? And most of us have never really considered that before because we're so hung up on the doing,
Yes.
you know?
And if you can learn to be, the doing becomes effortless out of the being.
Right. It's the byproduct of
Yeah.
who you be.
Yeah.
And there is no to-do list. There is no check all these boxes so that someday I can maybe be enough. You know, maybe if I do enough, I will someday be enough. And it's just, we see that in religion. We see it in work environments. We see it in school. Like it's everywhere in our culture that maybe if I do enough, someday I will be enough. And it's just nonsense. But when you can flip that around, that reversal role, and just sit in the beingness of your divinity for a minute and feel it, that will induce the right being at the right time, or the right doing at the right time.
Absolutely. It's so true. And I notice that every day when I get up in the morning, if I sit in meditation, my whole day flows easier, even if it's 5 minutes. If I skip that part, I am frantically running around trying to get everything done. And,
Because you're up in here.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, I've told people before, you let this thing govern your life. It's like letting a 2-year-old drive a car down the freeway. It's not qualified to navigate. Your higher self needs to navigate, and you can't do that if you're in a state of chaos.
So true. It's like a chronic human condition. Doing. It's almost like we're trained, we're raised that what we do determines like who we are, when it's really who we be. And
yeah, well, the doing is the finite world, but the being is the infinite.
Yes.
You connect to the infinite, and there is no limit that can be put upon. There's no threat to infinity. So what do you have to worry about? You know?
Exactly. We're either in fear or we're in love. It's a choice at any given moment.
Right. And we need a lot more love in this world right now, because lots of people have been sucked into the fear. So
they have.
Yeah, this is a sacred work for sure. Any final thoughts to just kind of wrap some things up?
Well, I'm interested in your work as well.
I know. It would be really fun to collaborate and teach a class
Yeah,
together.
I
I,
would
I
love
do
that.
want to. I do want to add one thing. So I know that the power of breath work is real. It's legitimate. I took a spinal breathing class years ago, and they were teaching us how to breathe up the spine and out the third eye and then back in and down the spine. And the teacher of the class said, don't do this for more than 5 minutes a day because it's a powerful breath, and the way that he instructed us how to do it. And I remember that first week I felt so good. It opened up so many things, and it just felt so good. And so the next time that I did it, I actually sat there for a half hour doing it. And I woke up the next morning with a giant boil on my forehead where the breath was being projected out because I was detoxing so rapidly.
You do have to be really careful with breath work. I mean, there is something called Kundalini psychosis when you awaken too fast, this energy that can rise up the spine,
Yeah.
and it is so powerful. I'm excited to teach I don't know how many breaths I'm going to be able to get through at the Global Healers Summit, but I'm going to teach as many as I can. They're a systematic process of like a cleansing breath, and then different sort of physical postures of breathing and holding. I know there's a lot of different kinds of breath work, but this is a really unique system that I don't think a lot of people know about, at least in this country. But it's practiced in countries around the world. And in
Right.
India, it's huge. It's called Brahma Vidya, which means the science of the knowledge of the divine. Isn't that
Wow.
beautiful? Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I mentored with a gentleman who was from China, and who was teaching. He was teaching a class on how to get centered, how to go within, get into your body, and just get centered. Just the basics being centered. And he said, when I came over to America, he was commissioned to come over here and do some teaching. He said, when I came over here, I could not believe how many people didn't know just this basic thing of putting your awareness and your attention inside your body. So, yeah.
That's actually been my experience as a teacher over the last decade. Is I thought people were more aware of the understanding that we are the creator in human form, and that our thoughts are creative.
Yeah.
And that, it's funny because people have told me over the years, well, I don't necessarily believe that. And I think to myself, well, you don't have to believe in gravity either, but if you step off a cliff, you're going down.
Yeah.
So it behooves us to take it on that we are the creator, because then we are in our power for choosing the thoughts that are creating the reality that we wish to see.
Exactly. Exactly. Like it's of great benefit to understand the laws of the universe so that you can align with the laws that you want to create with, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm very interested. I'm asking this question for my own benefit, but where can we go to find out more about you? You talked about the Udemy class that you put together, and you have some other classes. Where can we go to find out more about all of this and follow you?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, Science of Mental Physics, that I upload a lot of the things in Ding LeMay's voice, and some different classes that I've taught there, whatever comes to mind for me to do and share. And then I have some Facebook pages, the Science of Mental Physics on Facebook. Also, Empower House Productions is something that I do voiceover work. So I've been kind of merging the two and doing guided meditations and affirmations and things like that through the Empower House
Beautiful.
brand. And then I'm also on Instagram, but I haven't kept up with that one as much.
Yeah. I'm not good at keeping up with all of them either, but
There's a lot.
whatever we got to do to get this information out. This is a sacred work that we're facilitating and helping others to learn it as well. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for the offering that you're putting out into the world. It's needed, and it's purposeful, and it's beautiful, and it's healing. So thank you again. When this video publishes, will you post down below just some of the links of where we can find some of the stuff that you talked about?
sure will. I sure will. And thank you for the work you do, Janet.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, you're
beautiful. I've
welcome.
really enjoyed talking with you today.
Yeah, this was awesome. I want to close with this. You and I both are scheduled to speak at the Global Healers Summit coming up. The main date of it is December the 12th, but lots of us are going to be speaking beyond that, before and beyond that. If those of our viewers, your following and my following, feel so inclined, this is a worthy cause. It'll be an amazing event where you're going to get to participate and learn from amazing healers and mentors and teachers like Jody and myself and many, many others. There's going to be some pretty big names in the industry there as well, sharing their insight and their wealth of knowledge and learning. So it's $44 to participate in the summit. I mean, it's a minimal cost. Everybody that is teaching at this event is donating their time and their talents and their energy for the benefit of the Mountain Home Children's Orphanage in Nepal. They desperately need a separate building on their property so that they can continue to do the great work that they do for these orphans. So every dime of that $44 goes to the benefiting of these little children in Nepal that have less than most of us. So if for no other reason you feel inclined to just donate to that cause, it will be money well spent for sure. I will post the link to that summit, the event that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. I'll post that down below in the comments, and go ahead and get yourself registered right away. Make sure that you get yourself secured on that. The website will tell you all the details that you need to know. All right. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
I just agree with you about the orphanage being a worthy cause, and there are some really wonderful speakers that will be participating. So
Yeah.
I'm
It's going to be beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
I
Really
honor
appreciate
your work.
it, and I honor your work.
All right.
Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you. And take care, everybody. Have a blessed rest of your day. Mwah.